Good morning. This week's installment of The Professor Helps starts now. So, first things first, it is really hard right now to give you something to be motivated by, to be inspired by, to talk about things that are difficult is kind of the order of the day. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to be authentic and I'm going to tell you things that are bothering me. Last week I talked a little bit about how we've all gotten very comfortable with the phrase first world problems, and I think we should stop that because I think it minimizes whatever is going on for us, because whatever suffering you are experiencing, I promise you somebody else is having it that, and somebody's having it worse, and somebody's having it not as bad. But as Brene Brown says, comparative suffering is not the answer right now. I'm going to paraphrase her a little bit. She says the antidote to comparative suffering is extreme empathy. And the thing is that you having empathy for your coworker who's having trouble with their Zoom meeting doesn't stop you from having empathy for the coworker who has COVID-19 and is suffering, and their family is suffering. So just because you have empathy for one person for something that maybe you deem as not as important, it's still empathy, and empathy is the answer. Empathy is the answer. And so the first thing, though, is that you have to give empathy to yourself. And I've been struggling with this a lot because I think that the difficulty is not that we have it so difficult. It's that we won't admit that it's difficult, or we will admit that it's difficult, but it's not as difficult as someone else has it. So again, it's that comparative suffering that we are so familiar with and that we really love to do. So I'm going to invite you to give up the idea that you have to be tough and you have to be strong and you have to handle this. This is hard. It is difficult. It is hard right now. It is a lot. And if you're beating yourself up on top of going through whatever it is that you're going through, whatever you're experiencing right now. So maybe you are homeschooling and you never had the desire to be a teacher ever, and all of a sudden you're thrust into it. Maybe you are homeschooling while you're also trying to work from home. Maybe you are struggling and it's difficult. And let's be clear, maybe is not really the answer. You are struggling, whatever it is you're struggling with. So for example, my mom, who is a survivor of cancer, and she is a wonderful, fabulous, and very strong person, is really struggling right now because she can't hug her grandkids. And I have another friend of mine who is a single mom, and she's working so hard because she's working with her kid to teach her kid while they're out of school because the schools are closed. And she's also worried about if she's doing enough for her kid while she's working from home and taking care of her kid and making sure her kid is learning. And obviously they're in close quarters and it can be very frustrating. And, she's actually worried about not teaching her kid enough. What a great mom. I have still another friend of mine who is very social, and that actually she's not very social at all, but she's being really social. She's jumping into Zoom meetings and having these virtual happy hours with people who need it, such as myself, who's a social butterfly and wants to do virtual hangouts pretty much every night. And she's struggling right now because people are needing her more in a capacity that she hasn't experienced before. I also have still another friend who lost their job because of this, and they are definitely affected financially, emotionally. There's just a lot of things that are going on right now. So I'm going to invite you to take a breath and literally take a breath with me, okay? You need to do that several times throughout the day, and I'm going to tell you why. Because even though I am giving you this advice right now, and I know how hard it is right there, and I know how hard it is for me, I knew that setting up my computer to work from home and to do all the things that I needed to do to work from home was going to be frustrating. And I'm a coach. I do this for a living. And I was like, I got to calm myself down. I got to breathe. I got to do some meditation. I know that I need to be sure to give myself lots of patience, lots of grace, and it's going to take me a while. Well, guess what? I was still frustrated. And I was frustrated with, the fact that it was taking so long. I was frustrated with the fact that I wasn't as productive as I wanted to be. And even though I knew all of that and I went into it with my eyes wide open, I was still frustrated. I was still aggravated. And it doesn't really help right now that there's a lot of articles out there by self-help gurus and other people saying things like, 10 ways to help you not kill your spouse during quarantine. How to clean your closet during COVID, and things like that. And that's great. Like, if that's your jam and you want something to distract you, that's amazing. So go for it. I think sometimes though that doesn't help, because I don't know about you, but I get a list of 10 things to do and I feel like I just got my to-do list tripled. Because I don't know. I think we're all doing a lot right now. There's a lot on our to-do list. So this is what I have to say. Don't listen to those articles unless they help. Like, treat it like a grocery store, which is a valuable commodity at the moment. You take what you want, you leave what you don't. And the truth is that maybe it works for you to find a new routine, but maybe, just maybe, at the end of the day, you're so done and you're so tired that you have nothing to give your spouse, you have nothing to give your kid, and you have nothing more to give your work, and that's okay too. If you need to do 8 feet of social distancing, I applaud that. Whatever it is that you need as a boundary is what you should take right now, and you need to give yourself a lot of grace. A lot of grace. Because your temptation is going to be, I'm not doing as well as I did in January. Well, you know what? Not even January. A month ago, I was complaining about going to the gym, and now I would give anything to be going to the gym. I would give anything to have a little normalcy. So part of what I'm posting today is talking to you about some things that I've been doing to try to keep myself sane through this whole process. And something that helps me that I didn't realize was important was any kind of thing that you did before all of this, try to keep that up if you can. So for me, it was practicing my music. I had a performance in February, which I'm really grateful that a lot of people were able to come to, and I'm really excited that I was able to do that performance because it looks like I won't be performing for a while. And I was rehearsing. I was just vigilant as an artist and getting that rehearsal done every single night. And then as soon as I was done with the performance, I stopped practicing. And then, of course, in the wake of all this, you give yourself permission to say, I don't have it in me right now. And then last week I had the thought, I said, well, maybe if I do that, there'll be some normalcy to my routine. It'll maybe ground me. So I started picking back up with my music, and I reached out to my music teacher and said, okay, I'm going to make a plan to have a lesson with you in a month. And I know that if I do that, I'll be more committed to the process, and I'll make sure that I practice every night. And I also started doing 2 or 3 counts of a Broadway dance class. Thank you, YouTube. It's free. It's amazing the stuff that you can find on YouTube when you look. And the thing is that maybe that doesn't work for you. Maybe you don't want to try something new right now. Maybe you're just trying to get through, and I 100% get that, and I 100% support that. For me, it's provided some normalcy, and it's reminded me that this is something I can do every night, and it grounds me. So after I put the munchkin to bed, I will, practice my music, and then I will do a couple counts of the Broadway dance. And the thing is that the Broadway dance thing, I've been talking about that for years. I am an actress, and I sing and I dance and I act, and I do all 3. The dancing part I could always use to shore up a little bit more, and I've done a lot of things to help singing. I take lessons, and the acting, I took some intense acting classes over the years, but with dance class, I've only done things here and there, so this is really good. So when I can go back out into the world, much like the rest of you, I will be doing this. I will actually go and take a class. I've said that I'm going to do this for years, and I haven't done anything about it. It's one of those things that kind of niggles in the back of your mind. You go, I said I wanted to do this, and I haven't done anything on it. So it's something that I'm doing. Now, it may be something that lasts for 2 weeks, and then I'm done. But I think that it will help me to continue to ground myself. And I want you to hear this when I tell you, I am very much struggling. And I want to be vulnerable with you about that. I want to tell you that sometimes it's really, really hard. And sometimes it takes the form of crying and being frustrated over small things. Like, and again, trying really hard not to judge yourself, which I just did just now. Even though I told you not to do that, I'm still doing it. So know that if you're struggling, you're just like me, and we're just like each other, and it's a very universal thing to struggle right now. And give yourself a lot of grace and be prepared, you know, to be upset about stuff, because this is hard. This is really, really hard, and you don't need me telling you that. I think the biggest thing I want you to take away from today is, you know, let's all talk a little bit more about what it is that we're doing. Maybe that's different, that is working. Maybe you try some things and they don't work. And, you know, John Acuff, who is a writer that I follow, and you should follow him on YouTube as well, and please go ahead and follow me. The Professor Helps is a Wednesday installment that I do every single week on Wednesday, and it usually happens before 7 a.m. The biggest thing is that he talks about now is a great time to go be terrible at something new. And I think that there's a lot of power in that. Also, the flip side of that, if you don't feel like doing anything new, don't do anything new. Do what works for you. And that is going to be my message for today. So I will tell you once again, give yourself a lot of grace. And when you're ready to kill somebody, go ahead and go. Breathe in the good. Breathe out the bad. And that's my message today. And that's the message from the Professor Helps. This is the Professor signing off.